This has been an absolutely terrible morning for Donald Trump. The MeidasTouch network exposed that horrible commencement speech he gave in West Point. Corporate news was trying to cover up. We played all of the clips where he ranted and raved about Al Capone and trophy wives, and where he said that he doesn't like stealth technology. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump refused to shake the hands of the West Point grads, which all former presidents have done. That's part of the tradition when you give the commencement speech. Donald Trump couldn't be bothered. Do you know why? Because he had to go play golf in Bedminster, New Jersey on the taxpayer dime. And here's what he's posting this morning, I guess, to cover up that disastrous commencement speech. He's posting photographs of his friend that he's golfing with right now getting attacked by a bird on the golf course, by a swan on the golf course. Here's what Donald Trump posted. I always said golf can be a dangerous sport. My friend being bit at Bedminster. Why don't you just, you know what? I was going to say, why don't you stand with our Army grads and shake their hands? But your speech was so utterly pathetic. It's probably best that you got the hell out of there because you embarrassed our nation enough with that despicable, vile trash that you were spewing. Donald Trump then posted this morning saying that he wants to see the names of all of the Harvard students. He wants them in his hands. He also claims that Harvard has $52 million. I think he means billion, but who the hell knows what he's even writing. Here's what he posted this morning. Why isn't Harvard saying that almost 31% of their students are from foreign lands? And yet those countries, some not all friendly to the United States, pay nothing toward their students' education, nor do they ever intend to. Nobody told us that! Exclamation point. We want to know who those foreign students are. A reasonable request since we give Harvard billions of dollars, but Harvard isn't exactly forthcoming. We want those names and countries. Harvard has $52 million. Use it. And stop asking for the federal government to continue granting money to you. So, end of last week, Donald Trump attacks America's most profitable corporation, Apple, causes $80 billion in market cap loss. Apple stock is down 22% for the year, which is not helpful for a lot of investors. Donald Trump attacks Harvard University, America's top university, where students from across the world also go to study. We know the amount of foreign students there. This is a public number. We know that it's 29%, and Harvard was a beacon to try to get the most talented students from the world who then start jobs in the United States, who employ Americans. We took the brain drain from the rest of the world and brought him here to the United States. But Donald Trump is intent on destroying America's standing in the world in all respects. Attacking the United States from within, attacking our international alliances, attacking our education system. Donald Trump then posts the following this morning. You want to meet J.D. Vance? This is your formal invitation. No, I do not want to meet J.D. Vance. Ben, do you have your outfit picked out? Free flight, free hotel, photo with the vice president. You read that, right? This is an offer that you can't refuse. Right here, right now. You've got a chance to meet J.D. Vance. He runs all of these scam competitions over, and every day there's a new competition. If you give me this amount of money, you got to donate. I mean, just even look at the people who attended that crypto meme coin dinner thing that he held. And you saw our expose that we did here on the MeidasTouch network before anyone else did it. We got all the photos and videos of what really went down inside. Remember, I was just showing you how just gross it looked inside also. And so there was this article today on CNBC that was talking about how all of these people there who bought Trump's meme coin said the food sucked. We weren't given any drinks other than water or Trump's wine. I don't drink, so I had water, and they only filled my glass up with water once. It should be noted that right after that meme coin dinner, guess what happened to the value of the meme coin? It dropped by like 15 or 18%. I think there were 55,000 people in total since that meme coin was released whose crypto wallets lost money. And there was a small group of people who actually earned money, but really it was to get access with Donald Trump. And the only person making money off it really was Donald Trump, who makes money off of the transaction fees. And we're learning more about Donald Trump's international grift, his bribery schemes, his quid pro quo. For example, this morning it was reported by the New York Times that Vietnam ignored their own laws to fast-track approval for a Trump golf resort and tower because they want tariffs lifted, and the projects were, quote, receiving special attention from the Trump administration and Trump personally. So if you want U.S. tariffs lifted, you got to build a Trump resort. That was the message being sent. Another message being sent while Donald Trump is posting photos of swans attacking his friends on the golf course. This is being reported from the Wall Street Journal, by the way, that federal judges are now taking control of their own security for themselves because they no longer trust the U.S. Marshals, because U.S. Marshals are on the payroll of the federal government, which Trump controls. These federal judges are now worried that the U.S. Marshals will do more harm knowing their whereabouts than good because of what Donald Trump wants to do to federal judges. That's what the United States of America has become under the Trump regime. But what would you expect? What else would you expect from someone who goes in front of West Point and talks about how he was investigated more than Al Capone, and that the Alphonse Capone, the late great Al Capone, got investigated less than he did, and he got more than Al Capone. Here's what Donald Trump said. I'm just going to show you a short clip of it, a very short clip. Here, play this clip.
And the American people, because they're always going to be there for you. I went through a very tough time with some very radicalized, sick people, and I say I was investigated more than the great late Alphonse Capone. Alphonse Capone was a monster. He was a very hardened criminal. I went through more investigations than Alphonse Capone, and now I'm talking to you as president. Can you believe this? Can you believe it? So you got to fight hard. You got to never give up, and don't let bad people take you down. You got to take them down. A lot of bad people out there, and those people, you have to figure it out. But you also have a lot of great people. Finally, hold on to your culture and your traditions, because that's what makes something really great. And that's what's made the Army great, the culture and the tradition.
So while Donald Trump was golfing on the taxpayer dime in Bedminster, New Jersey today, by the way, where his wife, Ivana, was buried, so that I think Trump can get tax credits by calling Bedminster a funeral plot or a cemetery plot. By the way, I wonder if that was the bird that was guarding Ivana's grave. And Ivana's grave is in this area that's in the marsh area, and the Daily Mail did a report on it last year where Trump just allowed all of the shrubs to grow over his former wife's grave. It's really horrific stuff, and that Trump's kids, whose Ivana's their mom, would be okay with that. It's just gross. But they're a gross family. Speaking of gross people, here's MAGA Mike Johnson doing the morning shows. He did the rounds. He was asked about all of the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office projections that this budget's going to be a disaster and add trillions to the deficit. Here's what he had to say. Play the clip.
Really important here, too, to point out, Shannon, is that some of the estimates, for example, by the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, are wildly inaccurate. They're assuming an historically low growth rate in the economy. The elements of the big, beautiful bill, the reason we're so excited is because it will be jet fuel to the U.S. economy. This is going to foster a pro-growth economy again, to get job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers moving again, expanding their businesses, adding more jobs. Wages will go up. We'll have more manufacturing in the U.S. because of all the policies that we put into this legislation. It's a long time coming. And remember, not theoretical. We did this before. In the first Trump administration, we brought in the greatest economy in the history of the world, not just the U.S. After just those first 2 years. Because we cut taxes and cut regulations, we're doing it again and on steroids this time.
Let me ask you about a couple.
By the way, that comes right off of his talking points So we did a report on this May 19th, 2025. The Hill was the first to report on it. These are the draft Congressional Budget Office versus Trump talking points that MAGA Mike was putting out, where he would say the CBO is a leftist, radical, extreme organization. No, it's a nonpartisan group within Congress, not leftist, not rightist. They just tell you what the impact on the deficit's going to be and what other financial implications are going to happen from the various bills. And MAGA Mike and other Republicans would always use the CBO when they could. Like this is from November 18th, 2021. Now that the CBO has confirmed the bill adds nearly $400 billion to the deficit, contrary to the White House's claim that the bill is paid for, let's see if moderate Democrats keep their promise. So that's what he wrote in 2021. MAGA Mike goes on Face the Nation, and he was asked about, Louisiana, and particularly your district as well, receives the second largest amount of food stamps in the entire nation. Like you're literally screwing over your congressional district and your state. Do you realize that? Here, play this clip.
We don't want to slash benefits. And again, I make this very clear. We are not cutting Medicaid. We are not cutting SNAP. We're working in the elements of fraud, waste, and abuse. SNAP, for example, listen to the statistics. In 2024, over $11 billion in SNAP payments were erroneous. I mean, that's a number that everyone acknowledges is real. It may be much higher than
Louisiana is
that,
like the second largest recipient of food
states,
stamps in the country, sir. So
let me explain it, Margaret. Let me explain it. The states are not properly administering this because they don't have enough skin in the game. So what we've done in the bill is add just a modest state sharing component so that they'll pay attention to that, so that we can reduce fraud. Why? Again, so that it is preserved for the people that need it the most. This is common sense, Margaret. It's good government, and everybody on both sides of the aisle should agree to that.
Well, Senator Hall.
Next up, you have the FDA commissioner. And here the FDA commissioner talks about how they're very proud that they're not going to be giving COVID boosters and vaccines to people under 65. So you probably have heard me report their new policy is if you're under 65 and they determine that you're healthy, you cannot get COVID vaccines anymore. They're just depriving the American people of vaccines, withholding it based on their deranged anti-vax conspiracies. Here, play this clip.
And in a much bigger step, we're basically saying the day of rubber stamping COVID vaccines for young, healthy kids is over. You cannot send us an application for a new COVID booster each year with no new updated clinical trial data and expect the FDA just to blindly rubber stamp it. So in this New England Journal of Medicine article, Dr. Prasad and I basically said, well, we've got a new framework because people don't trust us. 15% of healthcare workers got the booster last season, and even fewer parents got the booster for their kids. So we've got to reevaluate this and use an evidence-based approach and common sense.
I want to ask you about the...
And finally, right here, MAGA Republican Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. Here's what he had to say about Trump's budget bill. He basically said Trump is the emperor with no clothes, and someone needs to stand up to him. Play this clip.
Spending. Somebody has to stand up and yell, the emperor has no clothes, and everybody's falling in lockstep on this. Pass the big, beautiful bill. Don't question anything. Well, conservatives do need to stand up and have their voice heard. This is a problem we've been facing for decades now, and if we don't stand up on it, I really fear the direction the country is going.
The speaker is...
I think it's also very important that we talk about Donald Trump's attacks on climate. I always want to talk about climate in my videos right now. This from the Rolling Stones. They label it under death cult. Trump tries to make sure states don't fight climate change either. The Trump administration wants to block states from trying to limit the astounding costs and impacts of climate change. So Trump's DOJ is going after states, whether it's New York and Vermont, to stop them from enforcing a law passed last year that would make fossil fuel companies liable for some of the costs dealing with climate change, suing Hawaii and Michigan over their climate-related lawsuits against fossil fuel companies. And the Trump regime is working with the MAGA Republicans in the House and Senate to end California's motor vehicle emission standards and its cap and trade programs. So, with all these Republicans talking about states' rights, states are saying, look, we need to protect our states from the impact of climate change. And the same way you have the Trump regime saying things like, well, we're going to prevent you from getting the vaccine. At a federal level, we're going to stop you individually from even being able to make the choice to get the vaccine. On the climate front, they're saying at the federal level, we're going to be preventing states from trying to keep their states clean. I mean, you just think about California with all of the smog we used to have. I mean, go back and look at photos from California in the 70s and the 80s. And that's why we had to take steps to stop that in California. And the Trump regime's like, we at the federal government want to interfere with that and stop. And we want it to be smoggy and gross and have carcinogens everywhere. These are sick people. These are sick human beings. These are vile. There's no other way to talk. These are trash humans in the Trump regime. I'm sorry if I'm name calling, but these are bad humans. Like, it's not a political thing. These are bad people who hate Americans and want us to suffer. We have to just recognize that. We have to come to that realization. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers, and thanks for watching.
New Meidas merch drop! Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.